Over the last couple of months, we've been launching hundreds, if not thousands, of AI ads for a lot of our e-commerce brands, spending anywhere from 6 to 7 figures per month. Now, in this video, I'm going to walk through the strategy of launching it. What are the headlines we use to test? What are some ideas on how to actually get these headlines, and what tools we use to go ahead and create these AI ads that you can test for yourself. So for the sake of this video, we're going to walk through Everyday Dose as an example brand that we're going to use for this video. So Everyday Dose is a mushroom coffee brand. They do a significant amount of revenue per year. And in this video, I'm just going to take a bunch of assets they have and just use a combination of a couple of tools that we can use to make some AI generated content for them. So the first tool we're actually going to leverage is ChatGPT. So you can use ChatGPT, the Plus model or regular. Both are fine to leverage. And the first thing we actually go ahead and use for generating the headline tests are uploading this particular image creative here. Now what this diagram tells us is a bunch of emotional appeals that we can play towards. So for example, inside of each emotion here, there are some subcategories that we can play into. So for example, we have bad, which relates to bored, busy, stressed, tired. So these are all some elements we can go into in terms of different headlines, different concepts we want to actually test based on some of the emotional appeals that are available on here. So directly upload this into ChatGPT, mention the brand's name, and also get it to mention a couple of headlines that you can use to test out based on the appeals above. Now, it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to provide you the right direction that you need in order to figure out what type of angle you want to go down. So the angles I chose are bad and tired, and ChatGPT will go ahead and spit out a couple of ideas. So a couple of good ones based on what they spit out is say goodbye to tired days. I think that's a really good one. Or feeling tired and worn out, everyday mushrooms can help. So what we're planning to do here is take a couple of these ones from the emotion tired and see how we can kind of use that to make a lot of the concepts that we're talking about for headline testing. So the first one we'll look at getting started with is saying goodbye to tired days. So while we've decided that we're going to go with this particular headline, how we want to workshop it is make a couple more changes so it doesn't seem so AI generated. So once we're doing that, the next step I like to get into is figuring out how does it look visually. So I'm using foreplay here just to get a couple of ideations around what I want it to look like visually in terms of, do I want it to showcase in a specific format around headline and then product and then ingredients, or do I want it to just show headline and then product similar to how Hush Blankets does it here? So I look at a couple of different formats just to get an idea of what other brands are doing, what other brands in different industries are doing, and how I can relate it directly to my brand. So in this case, I'm going to go with something very simple. Everyday Doses have already tested this type of format where it's, headline, ingredient, and then product showcase. So for the sake of this video, I'm going to look at doing something very similar. Luckily, we've got another tool called Creative OS. They essentially have a similar type of board where you can view a bunch of different inspiration based on the filters here. And it lets you create a lot of the static content. So we'll go ahead and choose this particular one here, where we can go ahead and edit the Supergoop template here. And what we want to do is we want to make sure we've got all the elements inside of this creative. So we want to make sure we've got the headline, which is this one that we've mentioned here, a background creative, and then also a product creative. So the next thing we're kind of missing here is the background creative. So in order to generate that, we're going to use MidJourney. MidJourney have a relatively cheap and affordable monthly plan. I think it's like $19 per month to generate 200 different types of creative. So I'll go ahead and share my screen and walk through the MidJourney element and how we make a bunch of content from that tool. So heading over to MidJourney here, how it works is you essentially have a bunch of prompts that they give you. They also have a guide that you can walk through that's relatively simple to follow, but the main prompt you're going to want to use is the Imagine prompt. And with this prompt is it allows you to create different types of images based on what you actually want to create. So what I've done is I've just simply asked for this prompt here: a 30-year-old woman who's tired and gets a crash from working after drinking coffee. And the real thing I'm trying to portray in this image, or at least this creative, is showcasing that, hey, a lot of people get some type of afternoon crash after they consume a coffee. And I want to make sure I can implement that directly in the creative and show that as the main kind of hook when someone's scrolling and reviewing a lot of the creative on the feed. So once you've got your versions or your prompt ready, what you want to do is either, if you're not quite happy with it, generate some new versions of it. So you can choose the bottom row here to generate different versions. So version 1, 2, 3, and 4. Essentially, it will choose this and create different variations based on the prompt you've chosen here. So for this example, I've chosen version 1. It will go ahead and create new prompts for that version. I do like both versions 1 and 4. They seem, at least version 4 seems the most realistic. So you can go ahead and also choose version 4. It will start creating different variations for that that you can use. Once you've locked in the particular image that you actually like, so in this example it's U1, I can go ahead and click that prompt and it will go ahead and choose that as an example here. And then we can go even further here. We can either zoom out, zoom in, we can add some different types of editing to it to make it seem a little bit more realistic, or add some more tuning to it. Again, do whatever you please to it to make it, seem a bit more realistic to yourself or to your brand. But for me, I'm quite happy with that for this example. So I'll go ahead and, right click and save image, and we can directly upload it to Canva to really test out on Creative OS. So for the last part of this video, we're keeping it quite simple. So the main image we had chosen was this current one here. So what I'm going to do is you can simply just drag it straight over and it'll directly overlap on the previous image. And then all we want to do here is take the headline and directly paste it here. So we can just do some quick editing here. So I just did some quick editing. I just made this a little bit dimmer so you can actually see the headline. Again, feel free to play with different background colors. This is just, the sole purpose of this is just an example of what to actually make and how to actually make the AI creative. And then on the background here, we can change that to whatever the brand colors might be. For now, we can leave it as white, or we can keep it as yellow. And then we can change this to maybe talk about the amount of reviews that the brand has got. So very simple way to approach creating AI content. The main thing we see success with is having AI as a background layer. And what I mean by that is just to help leverage, or at least, so overall, I think it's a very simple way to use AI and to figure out how to leverage, tools like Creative OS and also ChatGPT and MidJourney to make sure you're able to create ads at a low cost, but essentially have a much higher volume. The way we use a lot of this content is for a lot of messaging testing. So we'll make sure we can test different headlines, different hooks, different concepts, different emotional behaviors directly in this type of format. And that allows us to validate it again at a lower cost, so that when we see something really work here, we can take that, create some scripts, and send briefs out to video creators, and they can make content that works based on a lot of the emotional appeals that we test in our static ads. So this has helped us move 10 times faster. We don't always have to leverage on getting static shots from a lot of models or something like that. We can use a lot of AI content like this. I think Meta is getting a little bit more strict on showcasing what AI content is to users, but I think that's fine. A lot of users are quite aware of it. It's more so just to make sure you're able to portray the messaging in the AI image, as well as making sure that ties with your headline here. And that way you can kind of just hone in on testing a lot of the emotional appeals at a low cost, and then simply scaling it out through video creative. Again, thank you so much for watching. If this was helpful, please share it with a friend, a fellow marketer, or even family. Until then, I'll catch you guys next time. Cheers.